Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at our website, StarbornInstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show sounds a little ominous. The title is Barriers That Fail. And why could that be? Because today we are having a powerful full moon at 21 degrees of Capricorn. Capricorn is the traditional ruler of your 10th house of your career, and of your public reputation, and of your involvement in the community, and of rewards earned the hard way over a long period of time, so it rules your pension or your retirement funds as well. So Capricorns like to be treated with respect. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. It is a planet of delay, but also a planet of persistence. And it denotes people who reach the top eventually after perhaps making mistakes, but they just keep trying. And then they finally end up being the heads of companies or of government agencies or even of whole countries because they have a lot of experience. That's something Saturn represents as well. And they really know what they're doing. So they sort of demand that of everybody else as well. And the reason that the title of the show is Barriers That Fail is because there are all kinds of barriers. And I think because this full moon is so powerful that we are going to have to look at different types of barriers right now, and we're going to have to be a little bit more aware of them. And the reason why is because there are 5 planets in the cardinal signs today, and they all are in a harsh T-cross. They're squaring and opposing each other. That's hard to live with. And so that's why barriers fail. Because we have Pluto in Capricorn actually conjuncting that full moon today in Capricorn. And then we know under a full moon, the moon opposes the sun. And so the sun and Mercury are in Cancer, and they're opposing the moon and Pluto in Capricorn. And there's a 5th planet involved, Jupiter in Aries, which is squaring the planets in Cancer, and it's squaring the full moon and Pluto in Capricorn. Well, Aries rules new beginnings, and Jupiter's a wonderful planet, but it might be a little hard to get one of those off the ground right now. And in some ways, it is because of barriers that fail. What kind of barriers? Well, the first kind of barrier that I'm going to describe is generally found at work. Remember, Capricorn rules work. And it is generally perpetuated by people who do not want you to get ahead. Have you ever wondered why somebody else gets the raise instead of you? Or have you ever wondered why you get stuck with work that other people should be doing, but they're the ones taking the credit? It's because there are people, generally in every organization, whether it's a business or an institution or a government agency, there are people who got their jobs by knowing somebody. And so they didn't get it on merit. They didn't get it because they qualified for the job. They got it because they knew somebody. And so those are the people that want to set up barriers to your success. And they're found in every organization. And generally they disperse their power in order not to get caught. And so there's generally somebody at the head of, it's sort of like a ring or a conspiracy of people who are jealous of others who have real talent. And so there can be somebody who thinks up all the dirty deeds, but there are other people that use them at different times to thwart your success. And so the title of the show is Barriers That Fail. Well, they're putting up barriers to your success. But does that mean that now those barriers are going to fail? Yes, that is exactly what it means. In fact, because it's such a powerful full moon, one of the strongest that we have ever had, actually, it is an indication that there is, it's going to boomerang on the very people that have been making your life miserable, at least at work. And the reason it's going to boomerang on them is because of how harsh these planets are in the cardinal signs. Because it isn't just the full moon in Capricorn. It's that full moon is backed up and conjuncting Pluto, which is retrograde in Capricorn. Well, Pluto represents the boss on top. You know, not the underlings, not the ones who know somebody and that's how they got their job, but the person who's really got the financial and legal liability, who really runs the show. That's what's backing up that full moon now. And so, the people who have been trying to hurt you, or thwart your career, or denigrate your public reputation in some way, in some small-minded way, by the way, their barriers that they've been setting up are going to boomerang back on them. And it's their careers that are going to wither. They'll just fade away. Because they'll be found out. You know, there's a whole lot of light in the sky right now. None of it is agreeable. I mean, the sun and moon oppose each other. Jupiter opposes both of them. I mean, no, that's a barrier that's going to fail. And that is going to do you a lot of good. Particularly when they're found out. And I think they have already been found out. It's just a question of how it's going to be handled. But there will be a way of evening the score. Let's call it that. Then there are other kind of barriers. And these are barriers that are for the good of all of us. And we're always supposed to be following them, you know. And if we don't, and the barriers fail, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. And so, just a couple examples are, if you choose to ignore any safety precautions, now and actually throughout the summer, there are dangerous aspects all summer long. If you choose to ignore safety precautions, how will that result? Well, those safety precautions are supposed to be a barrier to protect you. But if you ignore them, then there's going to be increased crime. And you could be the victim of it. Excuse me. A little frog in my throat. And so, you need to be very careful not to ignore safety precautions, because that could actually set you up for a great deal of harm and turn you into a victim, a rather unsuspecting one. But then if you ignore the safety barrier, then it fails, and there you are, stuck. Another barrier like that is an old saying called trust but verify. And that simply means that in this digital age, when all you have to do when you go online is press a button, and that's it, you may just feel that, you know, if it's digital, it's got to be fast, and that's fine with you. Except, do you really trust who you're doing business with? Have you stepped back and have you taken a little pause to try to verify who you're doing business with? Have you looked up that website a little more closely? Have you been able to go into a store and actually look for merchandise that's very close to what you're ordering online, so that you can be familiar with how it really works? Or are you just going to trust the pretty picture you've been looking at? You know, without verifying anything. Do you see that that trust but verify barrier is a way to protect you and to protect anything that you do online? And so if you choose to ignore that, you, once again, could be a victim. Maybe a larger victim of cybercrime than you realize. So that's what you open yourself up to when you don't verify what you're doing online. And then there is the last barrier. And this barrier should fail. In fact, you know, I wish it would fail right now for all of us, because it's the most widespread barrier of all. It hits everybody. And the reason why, it's the kind of barrier that all of us set up to protect ourselves from love, from having a broken heart, from being disappointed or being depressed. And so we decide, oh, that we're going to be too busy for love, or we're not interested in love. Well, who are you kidding? Everybody's interested in love. And if there is one barrier that's got to go right now, and it's got to fail, it's that one. Because you can't extinguish the love in your heart. Whether it's a love for a favorite pet, or your children, or your job, or the scenery, whatever it is that you love, the heart is hungry for that. The heart needs that love. And if you've lost a loved one, and they're no longer here, and it's either through death or divorce or an accident or whatever, it doesn't mean that you shut down. It doesn't mean that you set up barriers to love just because you were hurt or just because you're missing somebody. In the first place, if they loved you, they would want you to keep feeling love. They would want that for you. I mean, we want our loved ones to be happy. And so, this is a time when maybe, you know, if you've been setting up some barriers to love, why don't you stop that? And why don't you give yourself a chance to rejoin the human race and give someone else a chance to make you happier than you've ever been before? All you have to do is let that old protection barrier fail. You don't need that. It's stopping your heart from feeling love. Well, that's a nice, you know, lonely way to go. But that's not what our loved ones want for us. So keep believing in love, because you never know who you're going to meet. But there could be somebody right around the next bend that could make you happier than you've ever been. So you got to rejoin the human race. Get out there and meet them. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries. Well, for you, Aries, you know, you could be really fired up with wanting to do new things. Jupiter is in your sign. It's only in your sign once every 12 years, so I'm sure you're pretty dedicated to doing something new, which would be great. But Aries, I don't think you can succeed at the moment. First of all, Jupiter is the only planet in a fire sign. There isn't anything in Sagittarius or in Leo. So your sign actually does not have any backup. It's got a great planet in it, but there's no backup. And this is a tough full moon because you have the full moon and Pluto and Capricorn squaring your sun. And you have the sun and Mercury in Cancer also squaring your sun. I thought this would happen. But we are going to continue on. So Aries, I think it's going to be a bit of an uphill climb. And I'm not so sure that you're going to get to the top of the hill. And also there's a possibility that there's a change in a partnership. And you might just say, to be terribly accurate, that somebody is sort of disappearing from your life. They can be off doing their own thing. I mean, that's okay. But for sure, I think that you would be best if you had a little bit more organizational work to do, or thinking or planning, because then a delay wouldn't affect you that much. Otherwise, I think you are going to be delayed, that a new beginning will be delayed. I don't think you're going to lose your enthusiasm for it. So you must try not to be impatient. Keep busy doing other things. Let a little time pass. Today's full moon is a real whopper. And I don't think anybody's really going to beat it. So keep your good spirits if you can, Aries. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus. This is a time, Taurus, when your sign, in one way or another, is going to be under what you might call heavy bombardment. This will continue until August 20th. But it will be especially dangerous or lethal by the end of this month. And it will represent bad financial news. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Hope that didn't blast your ears out. And the reason is, we have now entered a time when all three malefic planets are squaring each other in fixed signs. Two of them are in your sign, Taurus, which is a fixed financial sign. So it's Mars and it's Saturn. Mars and Uranus, I mean. Uranus is at 18 degrees. And Mars is at about 8 or 6, I think. At the end of the month, it will come out and it will be in perfect alignment and it will conjunct that Uranus. And both planets, Mars and Uranus, are very fast-acting planets. Ooh, but unfortunately they are in a financial sign. And Saturn in Aquarius is squaring both of them. So that is the pressure that you're under right now, Taurus. You know, it's good that Pluto in Capricorn is trining your sun. It means you have some people in powerful places that they're around. And they could help you, or they would if they could, but they may have some organizational problems of their own that they have to solve before they can help you. So I just want you to know the whole time that these three malefic planets are squaring each other, which will continue until August 20th. You're going to be in financial danger one way or another. And if I were you, I'd really pay attention and hang on to your money, Taurus. You're going to need it. Somebody could sock you with high taxes. Somebody could sock you with back pay for something. I have no idea what. But you're going to be in rough water financially between now and August 20th, but particularly at the end of this month. So extreme caution is advised, Taurus. And I hope you're just real careful with your money. This is not the time to spend money. This is the time to hang on to it. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is a time when you can be feeling sort of benevolent toward everybody. And the reason why is that you have Venus in your sign at 24 degrees. 24 is a number that reduces to 6. 2 plus 4 equals 6. And 6 is the number of love. It's the number of Libra. So you could have your mind on the people that you love, Gemini, or on doing something that you love. And it would tend to work out rather well. Why? Because Saturn is in Aquarius, trining that Venus. Now, not exactly, but I mean it's in Aquarius and it's trining Venus in Gemini, both air signs. And Saturn is also at 24 degrees. In other words, Venus and Saturn are in perfect trine, and they're at exactly the same degree today. Saturn is retrograde, though. But still, 2 plus 4 equals 6. And that's regarding Saturn, which is not exactly a loving planet. But there could be somebody either in your future or somebody who's maybe had their eye on your talent for a while, Gemini, and they are probably going to do you a big favor. And that's good. I mean, they should. You deserve it. Excuse me. So what I think, Gemini, is that you have to be as evenly balanced and sort of smiley as you can be right now. And if somebody asks you to do anything that has to do with communications, you should say yes in a heartbeat, because you would have a wonderful way of expressing yourself right now. And it would be to a very receptive audience who would like what you have to say. So if you're wondering when to ask for that raise or how to put forward your own ideas, oh boy, this is the time to do it, Gemini. You're not caught up in all the pressure from the cardinal signs. And so if I were you, I'd stick to being real charming right now. It's going to do you a lot of good. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time when I would say you prefer to have your mind on home matters or family matters, or it's summertime, maybe going on a picnic, something easy. But the Sun and Mercury in your sign, Cancer, are being opposed today by that powerful full moon in Capricorn with Pluto conjuncting it. And so those two planets are opposing the two planets in your sign, and Jupiter is in your sign, squaring the planets in Cancer and the planets in Capricorn. This is putting up a harsh T-cross of 5 planets in cardinal signs. Now, cardinal signs are not fixed signs. I mean, they're not stubbornly fixed, but they're not mutable signs either. Mutable signs can see other people's point of view, but cardinal signs, they don't need to. They are always sure and very positive about what is right and wrong. And so they stick with it. So Cancer, this is not going to be the time when I think you're going to be able to change anyone's mind about something. So I wouldn't try right now. However, on the other hand, with Neptune and Pisces trining your Sun and Mercury in your sign, this can be a time when you can be very knowledgeable and have almost a divine sight about something that's going on behind the scenes that needs to change. Because Neptune in Pisces is retrograde. There are 3 retrograde planets right now. That always means that you have to go back and change something, because it isn't working. And so you may, even if that's not your favorite thing to do, Cancer, it seems to me that this is a good time to do it, to really make a change that should have been made before. And I don't think that anyone is going to escape the fact that some barriers are going to fail. They're either going to fail because people choose to ignore them, like safety barriers. That's not a very good idea, but they may do that. But they can fail because people who have been deliberately putting down others who have talent are going to have that boomerang against them. The very barriers they set up are proof of their wrongdoing, and that's why their careers are over. You may know a little more about that than people think behind the scenes, Cancer, but if I were you, I would be somewhat discreet right now. And if there are changes that need to be made, I think the sooner the better. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time when you can certainly still be very enthusiastic about a new beginning, and the reason why is because Jupiter is in Aries, trining your sun, which is wonderful for you. So by itself, it looks like, a new beginning is sort of bright and shiny. But Aries is a cardinal sign, and the cardinal signs are taking a hit right now, bigger than they can handle, under the full moon in Capricorn today. So I would say, Leo, what is your plan B? Because now is a good time for you to sort of pivot to something else. Maybe it's not the new beginning you wish you were making, but it could be something that if it didn't cost a lot of money, it might succeed right now. And so if there is a possibility that you can be working quietly on something that is sort of low-key, there is a possibility you can be successful at that. Yours is a fixed sign. And there are 3 malefic planets in the other 2 fixed signs, Taurus and Saturn, and they both harshly square your sun and oppose it. So all the fixed signs actually have to hold on to their money right now. Don't spend it, Leo. You're going to need it. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time when I would say that you benefit from the offshoot or the emerging effects of today's full moon. And that is because the moon in Capricorn and Pluto both trine your sun. And so do Mars and Saturn, or Mars and Uranus in Taurus. And so, Virgo, somehow, in maybe a more indirect way, you are going to benefit from changes that absolutely have to be made now. You may even benefit from some barriers that do fail. Because, Virgos just keep working away. And it's possible that you're one of the people that have had some horrible barriers set up to keep you down. And those should fail, and so should the people who put them up. So that might happen. So, what does it mean to a Libra? Libra, what does it mean to you? Well, yours is a cardinal sign. And so, darn it, the cardinal signs are sort of taking a hit right now. And that is because your sign doesn't have anything in it but The full moon and Pluto in Capricorn are squaring your sun. The Sun and Mercury in Cancer are squaring your sun, and Jupiter in Aries is opposing your sun sign. So there could be a postponement or a cancellation of a new beginning for you, Libra, or something that's just going to be put off for a little while. I think it's still going to happen, just not at the moment, for one reason or another. And so we all have to get used to being more patient. And the reason why is this is a real tough full moon. And it has a lot to do with our careers and our public reputation, and also has a lot to do with plans for retirement and our investments. So we all have to sort of keep our mind on business right now, Libra, especially you, because there could be little roadblocks no matter which way you turn. But they will not last. As far as financial matter goes, those are a little sticky right now. So that is what you should pay extra careful attention to if you can. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time, since yours is a fixed sign, when you can be really feeling the pressure, particularly financial pressure, that others can be putting on you right now. And that is because Mars and Uranus in Taurus are opposing your sun sign, and Mars is your own ruler. And Saturn in Aquarius is squaring your sun sign, and that rules the future. And so I would say that this is a time, Scorpio, when you're going to have to pretty much watch every penny and make sure that what is yours is really yours. And that is because a lot of people, for instance, could be billing you for things that maybe weren't really done. So you'd have to be careful about checking for that. Another thing is that by the end of the month, when Mars moves up to conjunct Uranus, there is going to be some bad financial news. But Uranus is a planet that rules space. And so there's also the possibility that you have to watch out for, Scorpio, that there can be an accident. In other words, not a real accident, but something that looks like one in space. It would be horribly expensive. In other words, somewhat catastrophic. Another thing that could happen is that all of us, Scorpio, can be subject to a cyber attack, particularly on financial institutions. So I think that you've got to be very, very careful with your money. If I were you, I wouldn't do any banking around the end of the month. Just keep your hands on what's yours and lay low if you can, Scorpio. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Sagittarius. This is a time, Sagittarius, when you can be filled with hope for the future, because that Jupiter in Aries is trining your sun, which is very nice for you. However, it's the only planet in a fire sign right now. There's no backup for it. And so I would say that I think your vision is a clear one, Sagittarius, that you can see the possibilities for something new. And I think that whatever your involvement would be with it would be perfect. I mean, I think you do really well in some sort of new endeavor. The problem is this is one tough full moon that we're having today. And so the barriers will fall. And I don't know if there have been any barriers to your success at work or in the community, but if there have been, then there are certainly going to be people that will be held accountable for that, which is good. So maybe in a way, Sagittarius, This is a better time for you to sort of straighten the record out in one way or another. Or check your records. Make sure that they say what you think they should say. And if they don't, you should sort of try to straighten a few things out if you can. The full moon is right ahead of your sun sign, along with Pluto. I would say that you are going to be almost an eyewitness to a big change in management or in policy in an organization. And I think that it's going to happen right in front of you, actually, Sagittarius. And so you just remember to remain calm if you can, because a lot of institutions are changing. And that's just for the full moon today. But remember that the really bad financial news is coming at the end of the month. And so if I were you, I wouldn't put any bets on anything, Sagittarius. Just try to hunker down and make sure you're living a good life. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Capricorn. This is a time, Capricorn, when you have at least one, perhaps more, powerful friends behind you. Now, these are not the kind of friends that got their job from knowing somebody else. And therefore they didn't really qualify for those jobs, and they actually can't do them. No, those people are the ones that are setting up barriers for steady people like you, Capricorn, who just persevere no matter what. And so your track record speaks for itself right now. And it may have held up pretty well, even if you have sacrificed some home life, something that has to do with your home life, in order to make sure that your career, that you were doing your best in your career. And so I would say you have some well-respected or very powerful people behind you right now. Not a whole group, but at least one or two that, you know, they're rock solid. And they will stick with you. Excuse me. So Capricorn, it's a tough little full moon for you today. But on the other hand, even if nothing is resolved today, it looks to me that you are going to benefit from barriers that fail, particularly if they are perpetuated by people with very little talent who have been trying to stop yours. That's not going to work anymore. Congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is the time, Aquarius, when a very unusually nice thing can be happening. Now, unfortunately, there are some other things that are pretty challenging. But actually, Venus is at 24 degrees of Gemini today. And that is a number that reduces to 6, the number of love. And then Saturn in your sign is also at 24 degrees. It's retrograde, but it's a number that reduces to 6, the number of love. So I think, Aquarius, I think that you are going to become aware of one or possibly two people who really think well of you, who really like you. And that's good, because then that can give you extra confidence in your future plans. And unfortunately, Aquarius, you're going to need that. And the reason why is that yours is a fixed sign. And until August 20th, Mars and Uranus in Taurus are going to be squaring your sun where you have Saturn. That's all three malefic planets in a harsh aspect, and 2 of those planets are in a financial sign. So I would say, Aquarius, one thing that you must prepare for is higher costs. And it could be higher costs that are associated with some pretty profitable investments. But the problem with making a lot of profit is that you've got to pay a lot of taxes. And so you may be stunned by the tax bill that could be coming up. On the other hand, there are people that care deeply about you. And they could be younger people, but they really care about you. And one thing they care about is, the way you can set a good example, which is what you can do now. Because both Saturn and Venus are at 24 degrees, reducing to 6 the number of love. So whatever your problems are, Aquarius, I think you're going to be able to work them out. And you can find partners to help you with that, which is good. It's just that I think you're going to get hit with some sort of big financial bill, which I think might be taxes, because of profitable investments. It's the way it goes. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time with Neptune in your sign and it being retrograde, but trining the Sun and Mercury in Cancer. It can be, Pisces, that in your own very quiet way, without too many people knowing about it, your home life or something that involves a move or a remodeling can work out very well for you, Pisces. Maybe you're doing the work yourself or with a friend. And so it can be quite enjoyable. Or it could be that you're improving a property because you can make more money when you sell it. That's a good idea. Or it can be that you have moved recently or you're contemplating moving. And I think all of that is going to work out really well. It's going to have some sort of delay at the moment, because the planets in Cancer are so sorely threatened by today's full moon. But remember that the moon is the fastest planet of them all. It only stays in a sign for 2.5 days. So this powerhouse group of 5 planets in harsh aspect in cardinal signs at least isn't going to last, because the moon will move on. So Pisces, if I were you, I'd sort of mind my own business and go about and sort of try to make a dream come true if you can. And if you can only do it one day at a time and a little bit at a time because of your budget, that's just fine. You got all summer. The important thing is really to be in control of what you're doing and to be happy with what you're doing. And I think that's entirely possible. So good luck. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in. Sorry about this little cold and frog in my throat, but I'll be better next week. And in the meantime, if you'd like to subscribe to the show, you can do that at my Karen Campbell YouTube channel. The show is always linked to my website as well, which is starborninstitute.org, and that's where you can also read a blog that more deeply explains the theme of the show each week. So I hope you had a nice 4th of July. I hope you enjoyed that little American way salute to America that I put up. I'm not sure my subscribers caught that. I don't know if I did that right, but I did link it to the website, and then I wrote the whole blog for the week of the 4th of July so that you would have the latest aspects. So I hope you got to see those as well. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you next week. Bye.